I once read this quote and it deeply resonated. And it goes like this: the creative adult is the child who survived. And with me, a lot of other people resonated because it hit home. It really hit home. And I also felt the sadness around it. And because of that sadness, I chose to rewrite it for myself. And I wrote, like, this is my little notebook. I bought it when I was in the Netherlands over the summer because of the vibrant colors. And I wrote, the creative child grows into the adult who makes magic real. And for me, it was more a declaration for myself, like, no, this is not going to be my story, where I want to focus on surviving. No, I want to focus on what I'm going to create and the magic that I will make reality because of it. In one of my previous episodes, I described how I started last year with a very small intention but big in meaning. I over the years when I make intentions for the new year, because I always do for many years now, I wanted to just make it more simple so that you can really focus instead of having 10 goals or focus areas. And last year it was coming home. And I never really knew exactly how deep I would go. Um, the thing is, when you ask for something, you don't always get what you want. You get what you need. And so, whatever situations I drew in because of that intention, it gave me more than I even could have thought was possible. Sometimes you hear people say, like, hey, dream big. Um, Especially like if you dream big, if you have a big goal, and even if you don't miss it, if you miss the mark, you will still land somewhere where you can be really proud of. But what I personally experience is that if you dream big, a lot of times, like, God just has a bigger plan for you, and you will be surprised about where He will bring you. That's really what I experienced last year. In different areas of life, I experienced many growths, and it actually really brought me deeper home to Him, to God, but also to my inner child and to the creative part of me. Coming home was needed. And it was also during my summer trip in the Netherlands where I had this huge insight where I was reflecting back on, the first half of the year. It was probably already August around that time. Yeah, I still have to eat. Not, I'm about to go outside too for a walk. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, reflecting. And so I wanted to share some of my personal writings. Because as I was reflecting on all these situations, yeah, like not just from that year, but just in overall, I started to see a pattern, like how you call that? In Dutch we say rode line, like the red thread. Yeah, that's the word. That was always there, but I never really saw. And what it showed me was that I've been resisting life from the get-go. Meaning, whenever things would happen, and I think this is what we humans do. I think it's universal. Whenever something would happen that I um, wouldn't like, like injustice or, authority in general or restrictions, etc., etc., I would feel resistance instantly. And I just start to see, like, wait a minute, I've been fighting life as long as I can remember. Fighting reality, fighting injustice, resisting it, pushing back for it, holding on to it, in a very, very smooth, sneaky way, because I do see myself as a very positive person who observes, the way I think and the way I act, and I just analyze everything. It just goes automatically. But I just saw this huge red thread where I'm like, at the end of the day, this is all based on me not trusting life, me not thinking that life actually takes care of me, and what do I truly, truly desire? I wrote it in Dutch, and usually I write in English, but I wrote it in Dutch because apparently in that moment I really felt I had to be closer to my own native language. So I'm gonna translate it as I'm reading it. But I asked myself, what does my soul really want from life? And the answer was to be carried by life and to feel like being home, to be loved, accepted, and supported exactly as I am, to feel the joy and lightness in the everyday things, to experience life as soft, peaceful, and supportive, and to live in full surrender to the flow of life without the need to protect myself, to fight life, or to live in fear. A deep trust and belief that everything that happens in my life is to give me, to help me receive, and to support me. And and then I was thinking of how in that year alone, I had situations happen that end of the day turned out better than I could have ever expected, because every time it just set me free. And the only reason it set me free is because of that inner work that I do. Um, and always seem to find that, I don't want to say find, but I always chose a better narrative, a better story, like from investments going wrong to um, a weird love situation. And every time I just came out stronger and lighter and more at ease, and like, wow, thank you so much for this blessing. Thank you so much for this teaching, because it never broke me down. It actually made me, it released me. And it ended up giving me this huge insight of life was never there to really punish me, even though I thought so. Where I want to go to, because this is a pretty deep topic, and I really hope you can grasp it. Um, I'm allowing myself to show up every day uh, ever since this year started. And I also expressed it in one of my first videos that I started this not with the idea of let me create content for a whole year, but with the idea of I'm gonna express as a form of art, which also means that I let go of any form of, thinking ahead what topic I'm gonna make, because I don't know until the moment, which makes it sometimes a bit messy, because it's like, how to find the right words, or do I even want to share this part? But I know I want to make mistakes. I want to show myself in that messiness. I want to let go of that perfectionism, because that perfectionism has held me small for so long and stopped me from my tracks. And hopefully inspiring others like, hey, you're good enough as you are, and as you go, you will improve and you will get better. And maybe in a few years you will cringe, but you will definitely be proud of yourself for doing it. Um, I believe that coming home, what it led me to was that freedom that I was always looking for. Because my whole quest, ever since I was a little girl, was like, why am I here? I remember laying on this carpet that was in our dining area, and I was looking up. I was like, why am I here? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And I'm like, what kid even thinks that stuff, right? So already I was very deep into thoughts and understanding things, and that whole quest was, who am I? What am I supposed to do here? And it brought me far until it didn't. Until it just made me small, until I felt like it was actually restricting me from actually just doing. And that's why last year I was like, okay, it's time to come home. I felt it in everything. And so when I actually did come home, because I am home, I am fully in my essence, I had a very beautiful, beautiful intention for this year, which is create. Just one word with a dot. Dot meaning there's no but. There's no why. There's no discussion. There is no, I don't feel it. Like, to be really honest, yesterday I was not feeling it. I ended up making that video around 6 o'clock. and around 6:30 it gets dark here. So you can tell from the video quality that it started to get darker and darker because I was just not feeling it, but I showed up because it was never a question if I would show up. Um, I would, no doubt, because the whole reason was I'm here to create. And this is something I wrote back in August 2025. So I love the fact that I wrote it. And it's the final stage of the journey is becoming an artist. And I even wrote it, show you, with, oh my God, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I wrote it with all kinds of colors and rainbow markers, pen, and um, I didn't even know exactly what I meant with that until end of that year. When I decided create is going to be the theme of my new year, to be like the creator, to be a creator. And it just makes so much sense, and it's so logical for me now to be here on YouTube and to use my number one expression form, which is my voice. Not just the sound, but just to speak freely. But at the same time, I wasn't aware of that back then. Anyway, why am I sharing this? So a lot of times, we focus on the struggle. We focus on the injustice of life and things that restrict us and things we're afraid of. What I actually started doing was trusting life, surrendering to life. And that was in that movement of coming home. It was in that movement of just being like, I just want to be in my essence. And things will happen. Things will happen that will shift you to being that embodiment, to be that person that is in her essence. And it was through my heart and through constantly surrendering and choosing love that I finally came home. Um, and then I stopped the search and I stopped the quest. And I said, I'm exactly good enough as I am, whole and complete. And this is my art. um, you probably know the beautiful quote of Marianne Williamson. It's a poem. But part of that poem, she says, it is our light that we are most afraid of. And it truly is. It truly, truly is. And to be an artist, to be a creative, is to constantly expose yourself to that light that wants to come out. And today, just before I started this, I sat right there in my bedroom and I just talked to God. I'm like, you know what? Whatever I'm here to share today, I truly want you to just take over and let me express it from the heart. And please don't make me cry, I said too, but that part he filled on. But I was like, let me be the vessel. Let me just pour the light out of someone who lived through it and consciously have chosen it. Yesterday I made an episode based on a comment that one of my followers made. And when I went back to her comment to actually say, hey, I actually addressed this in my newest episode for you, I noticed that she actually had one question. She started her comment with a question and I never even answered it. And I think her question was something like, what does it mean to choose your inner child? Or something like that. I actually should look it up to make sure that I know what I'm talking about right now. Give me a second, okay? What does it mean for you to honor your spirit, the little girl inside of you? Okay, so this is actually unconsciously the answer. Is to not see life as the restriction and as the punishment, and to go back into that innocent joy of dancing, playing. Even as a child, I restricted myself a lot. I feel like I'm more freer now than I was back then. I don't feel like she ever really was able to fully express even back then. I think a lot of us have that. You do have those kids that are completely, in their energy and just little stars. But it was definitely not natural for me. That's why I say I always resisted life. I always felt like not comfortable and untrust, like I wasn't trusting it. Um, I think it's also because I felt a lot. I felt deeply. And so everything was very harsh. And then I just created all these barriers to protect what I felt. I didn't feel safe enough without it, but it blocked who I was completely, right? And so right now, what it means is to do this, to create without a format, without a plan, to show up, to cry, to find words in things that are so personal and something that I truly uh, haven't really tried to express out. Like it's so different to do it in here than to do it like this. But to be like, hey, you will feel the essence, you will feel it, you will feel the frequency. Um, this is also my rebellion against any form of perfectionism that has also really tried to hold me down for a long time, like squeeze me. And the gift that I got out of all of this is that now, whatever happens, I notice exactly when I grip, when I hold on to something. Um, the other day, I was on the couch and I felt like unease, and I just like, hey, why do I feel this? What am I holding on to? What am I gripping? And because I asked, I instantly saw a vision of what happened earlier that day, and I guess my body was still processing that and holding on to that. And then I just had a conversation with myself. And yeah, you could see me as a nutcase, but no, I think it's actually very healthy to do this. I was like, hey, why are you gripping? And the answer was, well, I think that, it wasn't an honest situation. And then I said, okay, but do you know that for sure? No, I don't. And then so I asked myself, okay, so why are you holding on to something that may or may not has been an honest situation? Um, what does it cost you if it wasn't honest? I said, well, if it wouldn't not really have cost me a lot. I said, okay, but it's costing you a lot right now because it's taking away your ease, right? Um, so do you think it's wise to hold on to it or to just let it go? And I said, no, I'm ready to let it go because I really don't really care. I was like, okay, let it go. And so I dropped it. And what I really was doing was you know how rivers can flow or they can become swamps, they get stuck. And I was releasing whatever would create a swamp in my system. And this is exactly how life works in the sense of if you hold on to things, it becomes hard to let life not just pour into you, but like help you receive things. And I think this is where a whole manifestation will comes from. But I have really found to like I really understand it deeper now because I work with my body too, where I'm like, when you grip onto things. And that could be someone said something that you didn't like and you keep overthinking it, or a situation that happened that wasn't fair, or whatever it is, you're actually hurting yourself when you do this. And I'm not saying to be this pushover. I'm not saying to be a yaysayer. Absolutely not. And we can talk about those things in new episodes. But what I am saying is that you have to give yourself permission to let that shit go. you know, to really make that own decision of, okay, does it serve me right now to hold on to this? And did I learn something from this situation so that next time I know how to behave differently or handle things differently or whatever? It really also helped me to understand, like, to not be reactive, because to be reactive has cost me more than it actually helped me. It doesn't matter if I was in my right or not. Like, it's more about that reactivity. A lot of times would, create more chaos. And I feel like I'm going to a new storyline. So I'm gonna cut it off here and now because actually a very sweet comment that I got from one of my episodes about turning 40 or being 40 and starting YouTube was, I feel like this could have been 5 different stories, and she was so freaking right. And I'm like, yeah, I'm learning that. I'm learning to dose things because once I start blabbing, I can't stop. Which is actually why I use this as a form of creativity, right? Anyway, I would love to hear your feedback. If you have questions about this, let me know because it's a deep topic. And yeah, for now, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful week. and I see you tomorrow. Bye.